The last master file that we need to build is our inventory master file. So on the transaction tab, we go over to inventory. Now in my inventory, this particular inventory is set up for kitchen equipment dealers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a specific alternate SKU, and I'm going to say it's a T-49. Now this is not the real SKU. This is just an alternate SKU that I gave it to be able to find it quickly. So here's, in this particular instance, we see all the product details of this particular unit, and we also see what they call their spec, which is the long description that we're allowed to use on all our documents. So let's sort of take a look at what we have on our summary, which we're looking at right now. It tells us what department this item is in and who, and I've set up my categories as my vendors. Okay. Do I have any promotions going on? Do I have, we have a discount, and that expires on this date. We can show inactive items by clicking this little button here. I have nothing inactive, but sometimes people like to deactivate items because they're seasonal and they don't want to have them cluttering in all the inventory screens here. On this side here on the panel, we see things like departments, primary SKU. We got to go back to our T49 again. I'm going to hit edit on that so it'll stay on that for us. This is our real primary SKU, and this will tell us how many of these that we have available in stock, how many are allocated on sales orders, what did I pre-sell, do I have parts for kits, and this is part of a kit, or am I going to transfer this to another site in the multi-site? And then here's my price levels. I have my weight for shipping, what my freight class is, and also some user definable fields. My cube is 73, and here's my cut sheet that is like a brochure that goes with this item. So as you can see under our general, we have who the primary vendor is. We can have multiple vendors for the same item, and who the manufacturer. Under options, I'm telling it I want to keep track of my stock movement. I want to track serial numbers. I want to ask for a price when I'm doing a sale. I want a window to pop up, default to the price for that customer, but allow me to override it. Ask for quantity is another thing I can check, and it'll ask me how many I want for this item. Typically people will only buy one of these at a time, so I don't have to do a quantity. But if they're buying things like china or glasses, I may want to ask for quantity for that item. Do I want to post this to the internet for my e-commerce? Is the item active? Do I allow discounts on this item? And the prompt for description will allow us, especially like we have freight and labor, this will allow us to type in our own unique description for that particular service. Okay, defaults we just set what typically they buy one. We have a commission expense, or is this got a fixed commission for this item? Do they have a warranty on this item for parts and labor? And is this part of a mix and match, where if you had 4 spatulas that they purchased, one would be free, they pay full price on the other 3. So that's a part of that mix and match. I can override my tax category if I'm working in a state that is not taxable for certain products. Subcategories, we can add our subcategories here and what our sales are for revenue dollars, profitability, and how many units we moved out the door. Let's go to Sku Manager. Sku Manager allows us to have multiple SKUs, including barcode, UPC codes, all that kind of stuff. So when you scan it, it brings up this item. Picture Manager lets me import pictures to for this particular item. Here's what we talked about, the promo pricing that was set up. Price breaks. If they buy 2, they get a special price. And if they bought up to 4, they'd get another. So you can set up tiers of quantity breaks. Any kind of item notes. Now, as we mentioned before, this is a standard note. And that will display on the screen so the salesperson can read all the information about it without having to dig for brochures. This is the description that's going to end up being on my invoices. And on the purchase orders, if I add something special handling on this item, let's say I want it double banded and I want extra thick cardboard, and I need to have a certain freight company haul it, all that information will print on my sales order. Internal is special things that only the people at this company can see. So internal notes are if there's problems or issues with things and you're talking to the manufacturer, you can bring up your internal screen and vent with all the problems you may have had. Vendors, as I mentioned before, we can have multiple vendors for the same item. Documents, let's get to that T49 again. Let's see a save here. Documents, we can have videos attached to our items that'll show on the customer display. I'll give you an example.
The T49 is True's 2-section solid door reach-in refrigerator. Made with high-quality metals, the T49 has a stainless...
So this helps making sales without actually having the product in your store. They could watch the video and place their order. We have PDFs for manuals and installation manuals. Anything you want to put in here, contracts, special agreements with the manufacturer, all that can be saved in this area. If you're using the multi-site, you can have multiple locations, and each location doesn't have to have the same parts as the master. The master's got everything, but each of the locations could have a limited inventory. So we can change departments and categories if we wanted to from one category or department to another. Verify inventory, we'd like to run that maybe once a month. That just verifies that all the parts belong to the proper categories and it's got the proper quantity on hand and that kind of good stuff. Cost verifier, if you print that or run that, let me close this here. This will just give you a list of the different inventory items and what their prices are. And if you want to highlight a specific one to show what the current cost is or edit, clicking edit, you can change what your invoice cost should be compared to what the current cost is. And we have physical counts. This is where we go in and either using data collection guns, walk around the score, scan the UPC codes, and it'll convert it to our part numbers. So then it does the comparison and will adjust your inventory accordingly. Last is global price changes. I can go in for a specific manufacturer by using a custom query and say, all right, this manufacturer is bumping up their product line 3%. So I can globally go in and everything that that vendor sells to me, I could bump it 3% too. So that's all the items in our inventory center to be set up. And again, if you're using the Positive for kitchen equipment, we have an import program that takes projects from AutoQuotes and brings it directly into the system. So you can always import your items using the Positive import program. So if you get from your manufacturer a list of their items, description, price, cost, etc., 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 and they send it to you in an Excel spreadsheet or comma delimited, that can be imported directly into the inventory instead of manually putting those in. Okay, so that's what this is about. And as you can see, it's got all the information going across here. Thank you.